Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to a new video. Today I would like to weigh in and share my thoughts and experience on a question that I see time and time again, both on Discord chats, forums, on Facebook groups, and also I have personally received this question many times, and that is, I am just getting into triathlon. I can only buy one bike. Should I get a road bike with clip-ons or a tri-bike? And man, this question is tough. There is no right or wrong answer. There is only an answer for each unique individual. But I thought I would give some perspective onto my experience, my trajectory, my progress, how it went, what I found were the major differences between the two bikes, and what I would do if I were to go back and I were in that position. So the standard procedure that basically everybody goes through is they get a carbon road bike, then they put clip-ons on this road bike, and then eventually they progress to a tri-bike. I believe this to be a very good progression actually, because it gives you a taste for what is a road bike, what you can do with a road bike, and then you can really understand how a tri-bike is different to a road bike with clip-ons. I'm glad I made this progression, and I would like to share some of the biggest benefits that I found from both a road bike and a tri-bike, and the things that weren't that great about both road bike and a tri-bike. Starting off with the road bike, the biggest benefits are that it is relatively inexpensive to buy a road bike these days. So you can get a used road bike or a new road bike, not that much money basically, because there is such a wide variety of them. So many people are riding road bikes, so it's pretty easy to find a road bike. Another reason would be you can ride comfortably both on the flats and on climbs. So road bikes are made to ride on roads anywhere. So they have a shape and a design that can allow you both to ride on the flats and on climbs, which is absolutely awesome. This means that rides can be super varied and that you can ride both on flats, in the countryside, you can go up hills, up mountains. So you can do a lot of different things with a road bike. Another reason would be you can use it both riding alone and in group rides. So if you are thinking of getting into cycling as also a community aspect, I think a road bike is a great thing, because personally I didn't do many group rides. I was very focused on solo training, but if I could go back I would do more of those, because I found great benefits in the ones I did, even just because you kind of like push each other a little bit. Maybe if group rides are a thought, or in your area there are some group rides, maybe a road bike could be a good option. And here we have another big benefit, is that you can modify a road bike into basically a tri-bike just by putting some clip-on extensions on it. And putting clip-on extensions on your road bike is a sure way to get some benefits. So you will get 2-3 kilometers per hour benefit on flats just by putting on clip-on aerobars, because the body position is so important and makes such a big difference that by putting on clip-on aerobars you can make a massive difference with very little money spent, because you can get clip-ons for 50 euros, 100 euros. That's it. Couple this with maybe an aero helmet and some good wheels, you will have a lot of benefits even on a carbon road bike. The downsides, of course, is that this is a road bike, so the geometry is of a road bike optimized for different types of riding. So you will not get the maximum amount of gains, or at least that's what I felt. I didn't get the maximum amount of gains that I could, even with the clip-ons, compared to a tri-bike. So after 2 years riding with a carbon road bike, then a carbon road bike with clip-ons, and then a carbon road bike aero with a TT bar setup, which had the gearing at the end, so no more just clip-ons, it was like a proper TT setup. I decided, after a lot of thinking and a lot of looking for the right frame, which I wanted to have some very specific things like upgradable, easy to work on, not so many proprietary parts, good for my body type, which is very tall and long, and that I could make changes to it compared to having everything super built-in and super proprietary, which happens with a lot of tri-bikes. I decided to upgrade to a tri-bike, and that was the Argon E117. I'm super glad I did it. And let me share with you some of the benefits that I found of a proper tri-bike. First thing is a completely different riding position. The riding position is completely different, and even in its most relaxed position, it is way more aggressive than a road bike. Awesome for speed and for solo TTs, feeling more like you're running actually. My tri-bike is incredibly more stiff and responsive compared to a road bike. And this you can really feel with the pedal stroke, with how it turns, how it corners, makes a big difference. Like you can feel it instantly. It is so much more responsive. Another benefit is that it is optimized to be aerodynamic. So the tubes and everything is optimized for aerodynamics on the flats. This translates into free speed, basically. That's all I can say. It translates into free speed when I am riding my tri-bike on the flats with a dialed in position, a good positioning of the body, because the body makes a huge difference. It really feels like I'm flying. I'm on the flats, I can hold 30, 31 kilometers per hour, no problem. Absolutely, it feels like I'm basically not pedaling. So going faster, that becomes kind of like the goal. So the goal becomes going faster with the same amount of watts and holding the correct positioning, which can lead to going really a lot faster with the same effort. This, of course, must be coupled with some good gear. So a good helmet, aero helmet, some good wheels. But here is where you can get the biggest increase in gains compared to a road bike with clip-ons. Can be around another 2 kilometers per hour, 3 kilometers per hour. It depends on everybody's experience is different, but in my case, that's what happened basically. So after this brief list of pros and cons, I would like to share what I found to be the biggest benefit bang for buck, and that is just a simple pair of clip-ons. So carbon road bike with clip-ons, this will make a massive difference. So you will feel this like incredibly. This is gonna give you 3 kilometers per hour instantly. Versus a carbon road bike with clip-ons and a tri-bike, you're not gonna feel that massive difference. It's not gonna be so huge. It's not gonna be something like groundbreaking that you're like, oh man, I can't believe I had this crazy benefit from just changing bikes. It was there, I could feel that there was a difference, but I didn't really feel that crazy jump from a carbon road bike putting clip-ons on. That was massive, massive, massive difference on the flats. Completely changed aerodynamics, how I felt, how my body drag was going, how much my body slowed me down just by putting on the extensions. That made a world of difference. Putting clip-ons is very inexpensive and can yield incredibly big results. And this, especially in the beginning, I think is a really, really good way to explore triathlon as a sport. Explore long distance triathlon. See if you like it. See if you want to ride bikes with other people, with a more like community aspect. See if this is really what you want to do. And it can be very inexpensive to do so with some clip-ons, and it can be very expensive to buy a tri-bike to then realize that you don't really want to do that. And it can happen. I mean, it's this sport is not for everyone, and I think a lot of people, I've seen it on Facebook Marketplace. I've seen people buy stuff for 70.3s and then not use it, or they end up having a bad experience and then they just sell the stuff. That can be a big bummer. If you want to spend little and have a lot of results, I will get a carbon road bike with clip-ons. Whereas if for some reason you know deep down in your heart that you want to do a 70.3, you want to do an Ironman, that is what you want to do. You don't want to do anything else, and you don't want to explore cycling as this great sport that it is. You just want to do 70.3 or an Ironman, then just go for it. Just get a tri-bike. Get it, because it will give you some gains. And if I had been that decisive in the beginning, I would have gotten a tri-bike straight away. A tri-bike is the choice that will get you from A to B in the fastest and most efficient way possible. No doubt about it. This comes usually at a fairly high cost though, so it can be a big barrier of entry. The one big thing that I would consider, regardless of the bike choice, and this is advice that I would give myself when I was back in the beginning of the journey, would be to buy a power meter. Get a power meter and put it on whichever bike I would have chosen to get. Road bike with clip-ons, power meter. Tri-bike, power meter. Because a power meter is an incredibly valuable tool for training. It helped me personally unlock some levels that I did not think were possible. It is very, very good for having some reliable metrics that can really help progress in the sport, and even just to figure out pacing. So I would get a power meter regardless of the bike. They're fairly inexpensive. You can have stages, 4 eyes, around 250, 300 euros. You can get some really, really reliable power meters, and that I believe to be a great addition to training tools. One last thing that I would add, and this is a bit thinking outside of the box, but I believe it has some value, is that if you can only have one bike, your goal in life is not really just to do Ironman triathlon, and you want to do a lot of different things. I would look into getting a really lightweight racing gravel bike, like the Cervelo Aspero or the Specialized Crux, because these bikes are basically road bikes, but that can hold up to 45C tires. And this, in my opinion, is a massively cool thing. Basically, these are road bikes, so you could do one day, just by changing tires and putting on some clip-ons, you can have a Cervelo Aspero and go do a 70.3 with just some 30C tires and some clip-on aerobars. The next day, you can put on some 40C tires, take off the clip-on bars, and just go rip on trails and off-road. And that, I believe, if you only can have one bike, that is personally what I would do if I were back in the beginning. That is what I would do. I would look for a lightweight racing gravel bike. These bikes did not exist when I bought my first road bike. That's the thing, they did not exist. All you had were cyclocross bikes, which only took up to 33C tires, which is no good for off-road. The geometry of cyclocross bikes was actually pretty good, but they were very, very different from what modern racing gravel bikes are. Modern racing gravel bikes are basically endurance bikes that can hold up to 45C tires. And that, I believe, is absolutely incredible. So if you're really looking for variety and being able to do the maximum amount of things with one bike only, personally, that is the option I would look towards. I would get a lightweight racing gravel bike, and then I would have that for the rest of my life, or at least 5, 6, 7 years. And I would be able to do anything up to 70.3. I wouldn't recommend doing it for a full Ironman, or maybe yes, I don't know, it depends on the person, but for a full Ironman, I definitely would recommend getting a tri bike, absolutely. But if triathlon is one thing you do and it's not the only thing you do, maybe this could be a great option to look at. So tri bike versus road bike, very, very tough question. There is no right or wrong answer, and every answer is unique to your own personal journey. So I hope this video maybe gave you some insight through my experience about what I would do if I could go back, and maybe it's some food for thought on how to make your own personal decision. Not an easy decision to commit to one bike, but a lot of people have to do it. Personally, I had to do it. I had to progress through bikes throughout the years. I'm glad I did it, and I believe any cycling is good. Go out there, get the bike that you can find, make sure it's available, start riding it, fall in love with cycling. It's an awesome, awesome sport. And then eventually things will just fall into place and you will realize what the right decision was, maybe in 2 years, 3 years, who knows. That's all I've got for this video. Thanks for watching. As always, have a great day, guys. Happy training, stay stoked, and I'll see you in the next video.